Hope you've enjoyed your lunch. So welcome. My name is Peter Hurst. I'm the president and CEO of the Greater New England Minority Supplier Development Council. Try saying that very quickly 3 times and you get $100 from Kadani. But in all seriousness, thank you for joining us today for our 2025 version of our annual meeting. I want to start by thanking our host today, CVS Health. With all of the folks from CVS Health, please stand so we can give a big round of applause. And one of the persons who stood up was Manette Napick, who is our on our board, a very engaged and active and influential board member. Thank you for having us here today. And Edwin, I know you've done a lot to make this happen. We really appreciate everything that you do, not just for GNE, but also what you do for all types of businesses that we hear about. So thank you. And thank all of you. This is a very interesting time we're in, as you know. So what I'm going to try to do today is do two things. I'm going to talk to you about some of the things that are going on now and some of the things that have happened in the recent past, and probably more importantly, share with you some things that we're going to do going forward, because the future has to look differently from the past, especially in this environment. So while the path that we have charted going forward may not be the final path we take, it's going to be the path we start on, starting right now. So again, let me get started, and I want to tell you about GNE. I want to tell you about, how we're operating in this world and how we intend to operate in this world. So the way I'm organizing this, I'm going to talk about the present and the future. When I'm talking about the present, this is also the present in the recent past. I'm going to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. If I was more tech savvy, I would have had the Clint Eastwood, meme coming on right now, but that's not me. And then I'm going to talk about the future, and the future in terms of what our aspirations are in terms of, what I call good, better, and best. And I'm going to explain to you what that all means. So in terms of the present, unlike a lot of nonprofits in this world, we've been fortunate to get our financial house in order, and 2024 was a manifestation of that. And by way of context, our current treasurer is here in Chicago, we'll introduce him later, but the treasurer who was in place when I got here in 2015 is sitting right here, Hugh Peltz. Hugh Peltz will tell you, back in 2015, we had a much different, look financially. So Hugh started the journey. Sion has continued the journey, and so we're happy to report that at year-end 2024, we had $2.68 million in total assets. Of that $2.68 million, we had $1.1 million in cash. We had $1.35 million in investments. Our financial advisor from Morgan Stanley is here. And he's created a portfolio that we could translate into cash overnight if we had to. We only had $256,000 in liabilities in 2024. So our net worth was $2.4 million. Hugh will tell you, when we started this journey together, it was a lot less than that. We were going in the wrong direction financially, but this is a snapshot, and I'm going to tell you in a minute why this is important. In terms of how we did in terms of operating performance, and for the 12 months ended 12/31/2024, we had total revenue of $1.96 million, total expenses of $1.78 million, and had net income of $175,000. So again, strong balance sheet, strong financial results, and led by Jose Colon. Jose, can you just stand up and let everyone see you? Jose is our Director of Finance and Administration, and under his leadership, we are very careful stewards of all of those who support the Greater New England Council with their dues, with annual and event sponsorships, and all of those who provide us with grants. So we treat your money like it's our money. And in addition to the financial success we've had in 2024, we've had, a great strategic position developed. Our relationship in terms of both our corporate members and our MBEs is rock solid. In terms of our corporate members, you would expect in all of the turmoil that you've seen between 24 and 25, a dramatic reduction in the number of our corporate members. As you know, in this network, we have both national corporate members and local corporate members. National corporate members pay their dues directly to NMSDC as opposed to share with us. Local corporate members pay their dues directly to us. So between the end of February of 24 and February of 25, we've only lost 2 corporate members. On a net basis, we picked up 1 nationally and lost 3 locally. So that is a very pleasant surprise for me. And again, I want to acknowledge the person who makes that happen. That's Joanne Wong. Joanne, could you please stand? Joanne is our Director of Corporate Services. And in the face of attacks on DE&I, minority business development, and the pullback from some corporations, in the face of these attacks, the results of only on a net basis losing 2 corporations is a testament to Joanne's leadership and the service that she provides. So thank you, Joanne. And in terms of our MBEs, the numbers are small. I mean, we've certified as of April 2025, 271 MBEs, but their impact is mighty. Those 271 MBEs generated $4.7 billion in aggregate revenue, and they employ almost 34,000 people. So the person who makes that happen, Ramona Davis. Ramona, could you stand up? Ramona is in charge of MBE certification and recertification, as well as MBE services. She is the point person when someone wants to get certified or recertified. So again, strategically, Joanne and Ramona are really making us look good with both the corporations and the MBEs. And then, 10, 15 years ago, GNE was probably more focused on events and helping MBEs grow and prosper. We've changed that. And we've changed that through something that allowed us to not only diversify our revenue, but also to have the funds and the focus to provide services that minority businesses need in terms of business development services, which is more than just handing out a business card. It's business developed that are targeted introductions, same follow-up, virtual and in-person matchmakers, and also a whole suite of capacity building services. The people that lead those efforts really responsible for doing several things that make it stronger in terms of capacity building. Financial management, including access to capital, strategic planning, both organic growth strategies, i.e. growing 1 contract at a time, 1 customer at a time, inorganic growth strategies, mergers, acquisitions, and joint ventures, marketing, and process improvement. So we're fortunate that in addition to the support we get from our corporations and our MBEs in terms of annual sponsorships, which is probably 25 to 30% of our budget, we allocate 60 cents of every sponsorship dollar to MBE development. And we've been fortunate to get grants from the Minority Business Development Agency, the Massachusetts Clean Energy Center, Massachusetts Capital Corporation. The beauty of getting these grants, not just that they give you cash, but also you have metrics judged against. You're judged against not just once every few years, you're judged against every month. So let me just tell you quickly a little bit about what the folks who do this have accomplished. In 2024, we continued to meet the requirements of a 3-year, $500,000 grant that we received from the Massachusetts Clean Energy Center. Under that grant, we provided a variety of services to support the growth and development, what they call climate critical MBEs. The prior administration was much more focused on climate change, but at the state level, Massachusetts, climate change is still something that there's a concern about. Clean energy is something. The person who is the point person on that grant is Stifler, who is our Director of MBE Growth and Development. Gary, could you just let everyone see who you are? So Gary helps out all MBEs that are certified, but he has a special focus on what we call climate critical MBEs. Also in 2024, we have had a grant from the Massachusetts Growth Capital Corporation, and that grant, charges us to help minority businesses get financing, not just from Mass Growth Capital Corporation, which is a financial company, but any type of financing. So Gary and a person who I'm going to introduce you to in a minute, Kadani Fresky, are the point people to make sure that we identify a variety of sources of capital, debt, equity, mezzanine, bonding, get that capital to them when it makes a difference so that they can take advantage of contractual opportunities and other opportunities. We're really proud of our MBDA Business Center. Back in 21, we received a 5-year, $2 million grant from the Minority Business Development Agency, which is part of the U.S. Commerce, to operate a project director for the center is Kadani Fresky. Kadani, could you stand up and let everyone see you? Kadani is the person who knocks on the doors of our corporations and say, look, I have an MBE that I think you ought to really think about using, and if you don't answer the first knock, he'll knock again, again, and again. And this grant has a platform that allows us to grade ourselves and for the MBDA to grade us 24/7. And the person who makes sure that we get credit for everything we do is Christine Reed. Christine in the room? Christine, could you stand up so everybody can see you? Because Kadani can wheel and deal, but if Christine doesn't get credit, it doesn't matter. So you probably can't see this, but like I said, we've had this grant, since 2021, and program year for the grant is like July 1st, 30th. So we have 3 full years of work that we can be graded on. We're not even finished with the 4th year, but we're already way ahead of the game. So in the 4 years, actually it's like what, 3 and what, quarters? We've helped 547 MBEs. We provided capacity building, assistance to 986. We've helped MBEs raise $161.9 million capital, helped them generate revenue from corporations, government entities totaling $135.9 million, helped affect what we call capacity investments. That's either an M&A transaction or buying a major piece of real estate, total $7.9 million. We've helped these create or maintain 2,800 jobs. So Kadani, Christine, thank you for that. The folks that you've helped, thanking you on their behalf. So let's give them a big round of applause. So I've introduced everyone so far except one person, and that's the person you hear from every other week. Eliza Ramirez, could you stand up? She is our manager of stakeholder relations. She manages our bi-weekly website. She gets out all of our communication on social media. it's okay to do good work, but it's better to do good work and then tell people about it so that they know that you're doing it. So Eliza is the one that makes it happen. But please, you know, let's give a big round of applause to the folks who make this happen. You know, GNE is doing great. You know, I've been around long enough, and I'm older than you probably think I am, that I know whether you're talking about a for-profit or a nonprofit organization, success or failure is based on whether that organization has effective governance. And the governance is not only the governance structure, but also the governance culture. Because if you have an effective governance structure and culture, you have, you know, oversight, appropriate, you have strategic direction, and the organization is always doing the right thing in terms of what its mission is and what benefit of its stakeholders. So in our case, our stakeholders are corporate members, and so we are very pleased because our financial and programmatic results are direct results, diligence, commitment, and oversight of our directors, and our board is led by our officers. Jim Lenahan, our board chair, couldn't be here today. Ruth Johnson. Ruth, could you stand up, our vice chair? And the man who keeps Jose and I on the straight and narrow, Sion Cogdo. Sion, could you stand up? And we are very focused to have a very committed, engaged, and focused board of directors. Several of our board members are here today. Could you stand, all of our board members, so everyone? So on behalf of all of our corporate members, all of our stakeholders, our MBEs, the staff, I want to thank Andreas, Arvin, April, Sion, Jerry, Mark, Ruth, Satin, Manette, Jim, Anthony, Ramesh, Michael. Again, GNE is where it is today because we focus, commit, engage. So thanks to you, ladies and gentlemen. I want to sort of take a brief detour, share some sad news. We recently lost last month one of our very dedicated board members. Joanne passed away, and I was thinking about this. I can't remember the last time she missed it. Always there. She always, you know, really. So if I could just say violence. Thank you. Thank you, Joanne. So in terms of the good, GNE, as you can see, is doing okay, both financially and programmatically. But, you know, minority businesses are doing well as well. And the public is starting to see this. In terms of public sees nationally, we know that there are over 8 million country. We know that of that 8 million, 0.2 million of them segment that has paid in full aggregate revenue, and they have more than 9. So that's not DE&I, that's an economic country. Closer to home, you know, in New England, you know, 6 New England states, we've only certified 271, but there are 236,000 minority-owned businesses in the 6 New England states. 28,000 of those are firms with employees. 207,000 of those employees. But again, even a non-employer firm, since they're generating any kind of economic, they're making region, respective states in the country should value. And then, you know, that's the good. But let me transition now to the bad. One of the motivations for what we do is that we're trying to use minority business development as a lever to reduce the racial wealth gap. As you can see from this page, the racial wealth gap has gotten better since 2016, but it's still pretty striking that if you look at the 2022 numbers, median net worth for a white family, 284,000, median net worth for a black 1,000, median net worth for a Hispanic family, 62,000. Now again, improvement since 2016, but the next page is going to show you we still got a long way to go. Because if you look at the median net worth of a black family, Hispanic family versus the median white family, you know, a white family's net worth is only 16% of that white family. Hispanic's family is only. So that's significant because, as you know, more so than income, wealth or lack thereof affects your spending power, affects where you live, where you send your kids to school, it affects the quality of the health care you receive, affects whether you can start or grow a business. It affects a lot of things. So as long as, you know, these so dramatic dark, you still got a whole lot of work. That's why we all do what we do in terms of the staff and board. Unfortunately, you know, there are a lot of folks that don't see it that way. And it started, I mean, it started a long time ago, but it really picked up intensity in June of 2023 when the Supreme Court issued their decision, Harvard, and you know, that decision unleashed a monster, really litigation and public sector attack. A lot of programs focused on DE&I, biodiversity. That litigation, that decision in June of 2023 spawned litigation, SBA's 8A program, number of state and local programs that were created to diverse businesses, and even an entity called the Fearless Fund, which was the fund whose mission was. So, you know, it's been, you know, an interesting time since 2003. And you know, in addition to the litigation, there are a lot of threats proffered by political leaders and private. And in response to those threats, a lot of corporations have publicly walked away from or walked back on their previous commitments to DE&I, you know, which is focused on employment or minority business development. Thankfully, thanks to the folks in this room, thanks to the folks who are members, everyone, thank those have the commitment and the courage to stick with this very tumultuous time. The reason that's important is that this network has been around 50 years. GNE has been around 50 years. There have been a lot of federal and state programs that have been around even longer than 50 years. And all of those programs and what we do, the intent of our work is to MBEs still face a lot more daunting challenges. Somewhat level the playing field in terms of access to capital, in terms of access to the public sector or the private sector. We don't have a colorblind society. We have a colorblind. I am very proud that we're all sort of trying to survive these attacks. And let me just give you one that's really close to home, and it just happened. I share with you, information about our MBDA Business Center. 4 years, spent their money very carefully. Conani and Christine have delivered the goods in terms of all of our metrics. Despite all of that, we received an email from someone who's a Doge employee, because you could tell it was a Doge employee because it was letterhead, canceling the grant we had. He didn't curl up in the fetal position and sort of hold my hair, which I have, say, woe is me. We pivoted. Connie and Christine are going to still do the work that and we're trying to turn this around. We're currently working with Senator Markey of Massachusetts, Senator Blumenthal in Connecticut. They were both supportive of us when we applied for the grant. More in ways we can actually have a meeting with Senator Markey. And the other thing, since we're in the great state of Rhode Island, I'm happy to report that Tuesday, federal district judge here in Rhode Island issued a preliminary injunction. Stop. The reason they were our grant, the first step was. So our faith, our ability to be resilient, not, be hopeful, federal district court decision that was the first step, stopping a lot. Greatly. The other thing that I talked about the good, I've shared with you some of the bad. Let's get to the ugly. The ugly, fortunately, is an intramural battle. Since January 2024, our network, which consists of national office, 3 regional affiliates, has been a house divider. Because we've been trying to negotiate and move. I was actually part of a 4-person negotiating team. So we've invested over 15 months, and collectively, we've been over $100,000 in legal fees, try to reach a new agreement. 19 of us, March 28th, submitted signed agreement that had been approved by each of our boards in office. May 8th, what they think they can do, they can take the existing time by agreement, despite all of the changes that have been made, force that new agreement down. Now, I'm a reform lawyer, so I can tell you the first year in law school, you take contract. First week of my first year in law school, I learned a contract like that. And a lot of you in this room, pyramid, negotiating other contracts. That's not how contract. So I not gonna resolve itself kind of force down our throats. And it's unfortunate because I'll be the first to say this turmoil has taken a toll on everyone. Our corporate members, our MBEs, leaders of the every board meeting, update on and even the leaders of the national office. This has taken a toll. And it's gotten so bad, my counterparts are starting to drop out like flies. My fellow president resigned, last month. It's out of frustration. You know, I can walk and chew gum at the same time, and that's what I mean by that, negotiated folks. And the other unfortunate thing, that a lot of the stronger affiliates, stronger in terms of, thinking about, worst case scenario, what happens if we, and you got to ask yourself the question, why would the affiliates stay, dependent upon national office for programming? And the answer is no. For all of our corporate members and all of our MBEs, get rid of them one-on-one treatment in a group. They'll tell you that the essential services provided by people like these will tell you that essential services are on a tiny here. So we are the folks, the boots on the ground who are delivering services. And as importantly, affiliates, look at them individually or collectively, we are financially strong. So if you're financially strong, it gives you alternatives. Let me just, this might be hard to read, but this is a analysis that's based on, the 19 of the affiliates. And these are the 19 who's looking our numbers from 90 tax return all nonprofits have to file versus GNEMSDC. Our revenue collectively was 8.6 million more than that of national. Our income was 3.2 million more. In fact, the NMSDC lost almost 2 million, collectively million. We had 22 million more assets. Most importantly, the net asset number, net assets for a nonprofit is your net worth. Our collective net worth is $21 million more. So I'm a businessman at heart. End of the day, if I got the money, I need you. I'd like to stay with you, but I don't need you. So I hope, that I think it would be good for the network for us to stay together. So I hope we can put this turmoil behind us. It didn't happen at the worst time. All of this drama going on about tax on DE&I, supply diversity, minority business, first possible time in the world. But life sometimes doesn't tell you when you got to deal with some stuff. You just got to deal with it. So we're resilient enough, we're tough enough, we're strong enough financially, we're strong enough in terms of leadership and people. We can deal with it. But I hope that for the good of the entire network, we find a way to put this together. For our people putting their egos aside. Network, my board does, exercising. That's what it's going to be. I hope that happens because, again, this is the worst possible. So all of this stuff about the past is interesting, but I want to look to the future. Much time left, but I'm going to use my share with you. Going forward, Greater New England Council has time or interest wasting with whether it's past or present, I don't know, make the future. I suggest that we sort of be guided by a mantra that here with me by my best friend in life is a gentleman, mantra. Told me over 45 years ago, make you good, you're better. So each and every day, you that mantra to encourage board, my team, we're going to focus on good, better. And what does that mean? We need to understand that this current E&I and supply diversity, it could be permanent. It might not be the reflection currently in the White House. It might be a reflection of what. So we need to be prepared for that. And we also need to be prepared for the fact that the role of NMSDC network and then the work we're all focused on may be forever altered. So with those two realities, let me suggest to you, team at GNEMSDC, we're focused on really a return to basics. Focus on some very basic questions. What for? Who for? And we think that answering those questions of what for and who for solve a lot of issues. Make sure that you're delivering value to stakeholders. It will make sure you're defining who your stakeholders are, could be. It will make sure that we're prepared to deal with anything that happens, whether changes involved in NMSDC in terms of their operations. We'll be prepared to deal with, corporate America as it continues to rethink business development. So if we answer that what for and who for question, we will be prepared to do a whole bunch of things. We're going to be prepared for all eventualities, whether it includes life without NMSDC, whether it includes life without less support from corporate America and that not only GNE but also their suppliers. But the what for help us focus on the future, because the who is probably critically important. Think about where we've been historically. This network is focused on, think of it, the name, supplier development. We've been focused on helping corporations find and use diverse suppliers to buy goods and services from. And, those diverse suppliers have been focused on selling their goods. Now, that's certainly a worthy goal, but in my view, that marketplace is small. You look at the current network, there are 2,500, about 17,000 certificates. That's just a very small subset of the population. So we need to expand our reach, both buyers and our sellers, both sides of the equation. So buy side market, supply side market. So going forward, in addition to just focusing on businesses that are what we call a B2B space, business to business, we're going to help businesses, government, focus on businesses who are trying to sell primarily to consumers. This acronym, that's a B2C space. And we're going to focus on smaller companies. Right now, if we're honest, we may certify small MBs, but we're really not allowed to help them with products and services. They're just too small to do business with. And the other thing we're going to do, we're going to sort of expand the definition of who. PA has this focus on businesses that are owned by socially or economically. Whether that knows that mean in NMSDC's definition. So not going to abandon what we acronym, government acronym is socially or economically. accelerate trying to do that. And what we're going to do, we're going to continue doing what we do, but do it and do more of it. Business development side, we're going to continue to promote strategic connections, virtual and in-person makers, early education of capacity limitations, but also we're going to develop a new ecosystem. What do I mean by that? Instead of just saying, I'm going to certify, MSDC is taking over. But what we're going to do is say, instead of, he's thinking about just selling the corporate America, we're going to say, start looking at selling your goods and services to larger MBEs. And we're going to start focusing on corporate America, but programs to them. And then we're going to, once we get this ecosystem finally developed and everybody sees it's working, we're going to really start saying, let's make it really big. Let's get diverse businesses think about buying. So, businesses owned by minorities, women, veterans, disabled, gay and lesbian, they should all be thinking about buying from each other. Those markets are really large. What else are we going to do? We're going to focus on capacity building. We're going to keep doing the same thing to some extent. We're going to keep focusing on financial management, access to capital. We really need our own captive source of equity and mezzanine capital. We're going to focus on that. We're going to continue to provide strategic advisory services for organic growth strategies. We're going to start some new things. We're going to get more involved with leadership sourcing and coaching. We now have at least one larger MBA kind of C person using course to help make that happen. So we're going to see more of that. We're going to provide back office services, get the money to do that, because a lot of times in our businesses, capital, books and records are all, so we're going to give them the systems to make, we're going to help them think about, words and make it effective. And then we're going to do something that we haven't been doing at all. We haven't really focused on early stage companies. High-tech, biotech, whatever it is, we're going to start finding the next Black Facebook, next woman-owned Google, the next Hispanic-owned, what's another big one? Amazon. So that's what we're going to do. So let me end. The first step in this road toward good, better, and best, this transformation, we're going to change our name. And we've officially changed our name. State of Connecticut. We're going to be known as the New England Business Growth Collective. Business says Greater New England Development Council. Our official name, New England Business. So things go sideways with our friends at NMSDC. Gone. Oh, we can be gone. But keep in mind, we'll have this name. We got the money in the bank. We got the people that I introduced you to, and we got a board that it looks more like a for-profit board than a nonprofit board. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. Let me end by saying we're going to look different. We're going to act different. We're going to be different. So join us on this journey, and thank you for getting us to this point, and hope that you stick with us as we move forward. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. So we have time. I mean, Joanne, how much time do we have per